Alright guys, today I'm going to take you guys through my leg day, and then afterwards I'm also going to take you guys through my stretching routine, one that I always do after my leg day to pretty much stretch out my quads, hamstrings, my ankles and my glutes. So pretty much a complete lower body stretching routine that I do after every single one of my leg days. But as always, we're going to be training first, so let's go to the gym and absolutely destroy my leg day, and afterwards I'm going to take you guys through my entire lower body stretching routine. So enjoy today's session and I'll see you guys in a second for stretching, and then afterwards back here at home to finish off today's video. So enjoy today's session and I'll see you guys in a second.
Choppers, better took those risks. Cold blood in my fists, we fire starters. One out of a million will reach those heights. Always got a feeling that I won't deny that work. Never could toss. Look in my eyes, I'm on the rocks. Rise. Highs, spinning these skies. I'm stuck down, feeling paralyzed, but I'm up now. We all too late to fall. Yeah, anyone coming, I'ma lift them all. Never look down when it's risk involved. I got guts, gotta learn, I gotta wish it all. Ain't got no feelings, we just floating. Yeah, I'm that grain of sand that made it out the ocean. A couple milli now, I'm causing a commotion. I've been coasting, hear my name around the world like an explosion. Choppers, better took those risks. Cold blood in my fists, we fire starters. One out of a million will reach those heights. Always got a feeling that I won't deny that work. Never could toss. Look in my eyes, I'm on the rocks.
Alright guys, with my entire leg day now completed, let's dive right into my post-workout lower body stretching routine. Not gonna lie guys, after my entire leg day, the last thing I want to do is actually go and stretch out my lower body. But if you want to keep my lower body nice and flexible and nice and mobile, it is simply something that we have to do. The way that I pretty much organize this is I'm gonna do a couple of rounds on some different stretches. Every single round I'm gonna be doing one quad stretch, one hamstring stretch, one hip stretch, and then one more stretch of my ankles. Pretty much doing that about 3 times and then finishing off with some stretches for my glutes. On my first round, I'm definitely not gonna push too much because once again, I just finished off with my entire leg day, and after my leg day, my muscles are fully pumped and usually a little bit tight. So the first round is just to kind of open everything back up, and then round 2 and 3, I'm really gonna be aiming for a maximum stretch of the muscle that I'm actually gonna target whilst I'm actually stretching. And now let's go over every single stretch individually, starting off with my quad stretch. To stretch out my quads, I'm literally gonna sit on my ankles, and if you have never done this one, it gives you an absolutely disgusting stretch on your quadriceps. With these, I'm really trying to keep my legs as parallel as possible and really trying to keep my body as symmetrical as possible, because one of my quads is definitely tighter than the other one. So when I'm actually doing this, I definitely feel the stretch in one leg much more than on the other one. But when I'm actually stretching, I'm definitely trying to keep my body as symmetrical as possible to make sure that I'm actually stretching out my weaker side more than my stronger side. I'm just going to sit down on my ankles for the first 2 rounds, and then on the third one I'm actually going to lean backwards and push my hips forward to also target my hip flexors a little bit more. But you guys will actually see in a minute what that looks like, but doing this really focuses more on my hip flexors and a little bit less on my quads. And then after my quad stretch, we're going to be moving on to hamstrings, and with that I'm pretty much going to reach with my hands to my toes. I'm gonna do this, I think, once sitting down and then twice standing up. I find that when doing this sitting down, it definitely also targets my calves a little bit more, especially if I'm actually pulling my toes towards my torso. I'm currently at a point where I can actually pretty much bring my hands completely flat against the floor when I'm actually doing this standing, but I definitely had to do a lot of stretching to actually get to that point. But if you guys are not as flexible as I am, just try to bring your fingers as far down as you can possibly go whilst feeling the stretch in your hamstrings and not in your lower back. And after the hamstrings, we're going to be moving on to the hips. This is pretty much going to be some variations of some side splits to pretty much open out the hips as much as possible. I'm doing this once again, one time on the mat and then twice against this piece of equipment to pretty much work it both ways. And this gives you an absolutely disgusting stretch on the inside of your hips, and maybe one day I'll work my way up towards a full side split, but for now just gonna keep it at this. And then after my hips, we're gonna be moving on to my ankles, pretty much working a little bit more on my dorsiflexion, aka stretching out the calf muscles. I'm just gonna do this by putting my feet pretty close to the wall and then pretty much leaning in to make sure that my knee actually touches the wall. And over time, what you want to do is simply put your feet further and further and further away from the wall to pretty much increase the amount of dorsiflexion actually happening whilst doing this stretch. And this one is absolutely key if you actually want to be working on your squat or your pistol squats, because in those exercises it definitely helps to have a little bit more dorsiflexion. So we're going to be doing those rounds about 3 times, and then after those 3 rounds we're going to be moving on to some final stretching where I'm going to be targeting predominantly my glutes. Once again, definitely a very good thing to do if you want to get your squat a little bit more clean. But as you guys can see, my glutes are pretty flexible, so I actually don't spend that much time doing this. If it comes to hold times, we're going to be holding every single one of these about 20 seconds before moving on to the next one. And that is going to be my full lower body stretching routine. And now let's go back home to finish off today's video with some final last words, and then obviously finish off today's video. So I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, and then a couple last words to pretty much finish off today's video. A couple questions that you guys actually might have after watching this entire video talking about my lower body stretching routine. First and foremost, how many times a week do I actually stretch? Now currently I'm actually only doing this pretty much after every single leg day, which for me is about once a week. And that is pretty much because, as you guys can see, I'm actually pretty flexible in my lower body, and so what I'm currently doing is just maintaining a decent level of flexibility in my lower body. But if you guys actually are not as flexible as I am, and you're currently in the process of actually building up your flexibility in your lower body, I definitely recommend you guys to stretch out about 3 or 4 times a week. And that is what I used to do back in the day, pretty much 3 or 4 times a week, really prioritizing my flexibility and doing it after every single workout. And that is what is required to pretty much build yourself a nice foundation of flexibility, which is going to have a very positive impact on all your compound movements, especially things like squats. But like I just said, my main goal right now is just to maintain a decent level of flexibility, so I'm only doing this about once a week right now after every single leg day. But for now, this pretty much is going to be the entire video. So as always, like and subscribe if you guys actually haven't already. Share the video with your gym buddy or somebody that you think it might be helpful to. If you have any more video ideas, advice or questions, leave it down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, on a Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday, 3 videos a week, and follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Latest.